Hello, hello. I hope you like my hat today. This is just, you know, my daughter said to me, I'm not too sure about this hat today, Mom. But I said, be sure about it. And maybe it's better without my brown jumper. I think it is. So, hi. Today, as always, I am Coach Kemi, CEO and founder of How to Think Global Consulting Empire. And I help females in senior executive females who aspire for leadership up to C-suite level, boardroom level, president level. And I also work with CEOs of their businesses to help them optimize their businesses, bring their A game to the table, and help them to make a bang. You see, there is no point running a business that does not make any difference to the world. Okay, you can't run a business that does not make any difference to the world. And I'm sure you had something on your mind when you said, I am going to run this business. This is a passion of mine. And something on your mind when you decided to go and work in corporate. You didn't plan to just be a senior consultant for the rest of your life when the C-suite level is waiting for you. So I'm going to be looking at my notes. And today's topic is why you think negatively on your job and how it will stop you from being promoted. This is going to be short and sharp and straight to the point. Now, the reason you think negatively on your job is because you think negatively. That sounds like the same sentence, but it's not. The reason you think negatively is because you are a negative thinker. You cannot be who you are not. You are only who you are today by virtue of who you have become. Based on the principle, for as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So that principle helps you know who you have become. The way you think is the way you will think. And the way you think is who you are. So why do you think negatively? Because you don't know how to think. The reason you think negatively is because you don't know how to think. And many of us, whether we're in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we have been thinking like this for so long, we do not know how to think any differently. We've been thinking the same way, doing the same, therefore speaking the same way and behaving the same way, doing the same way. You cannot think negatively. You cannot be a negative thinker at home and be and be a positive thinker at work. You can't be two different people. You can only, thank you. You can only be one person. Thank you for liking the heart, Julia. You can only be one person. So the reason, let me reiterate, repeat, you think negatively on your job is because you're a negative thinker. You think negatively anyway. And why? Because you don't know how to think. There are many of us who think, including me, who don't know how to think. I've had to learn how to think. And everything you do, there is a principle. So the principle is, for as a man thinks in his heart, so is he stands. So if you know that your thinking determines who you are, your thinking determines what you do, your thinking determines who you become, so is he who you become, then you'll be more careful with your thought set rather than your mindset, because your mindset is the soil. Your thoughts are the seeds. Whatever seeds you put on the ground of your mind is what the ground of your mind is going to produce in form of fruit. So if you don't want oranges as the fruit, do not put orange thought seeds in the ground. Your thought seeds influence your mind ground, and your mind ground cannot decide, well, she put orange seeds in there, I am going to produce apples. It's never going to happen. So let's talk about your thoughts, because that influences your mind, sets it, and therefore instructs what is produced. So if you want to learn how to think differently, rightly, positively you need to be talking with me. So it's because you don't know how to think, that's why you think negatively. And also, you probably argue for your limitations. You've been told, Kemi, the way you talk about other people is so negative. Every time you want to start with a project, you start with the negative thought. Oh, it might not work. Maybe if I go and speak with my CEO, he might say I'm too forward. Those are just negative thoughts. Why? I have found out that I have been a negative thinker for decades. I'm in my 50s for decades, and I did not know. I have been a negative thinker for decades. And you see, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to tell yourself the truth. If someone else tells you that truth before you tell yourself, okay, but it's good for you to accept, think about it, accept, then tell yourself that truth. Because until you accept that this is who you are, and this is what you are doing, and this is what you've been doing, change, transformation will never happen. Now, if you argue for your limitations, well, it doesn't really matter. Well, the only reason I think that way is because of my past experiences, which is what I used to say. Well, my past experiences have determined my current situation, will determine my future results. That's what I'm saying. And if that's the way you're thinking, that's exactly what you're going to get. Why? Because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. I heard this from Les Brown. If you argue for your limitations, you will own them. Because someone says, Kemi, you talk too fast. We really cannot hear what you are saying. So what you want to do is not argue. Really? That's what you want to say. I need to reduce. I need to slow down. Yes, you do, Kemi. Slow down. Take a few pauses. And then carry on. Because in those pauses, that's when understanding and perception and reception happens. The people you are speaking to receive it, respond to it the way they ought to. Because you've given them space, that pause, to think on what you have just said. Pauses are powerful, I'm finding out. So Les Brown says, if you argue for your limitations, you will own them. Okay, so let's look at the characteristics of Nelly Negative. That's what I've called her, Nelly Negative. She's Miss Nelly Negative. Nelly Negative is negative. That's one characteristic. She is negative because she thinks negatively. Second characteristic, Nelly Negative is not creative because when you think negatively, you do not think of how to make it better, change it. What do we need to do to turn things around, to lift things up, to up-level things, to reset? You're just, oh, it's not good, it's not good. And that's what the senior executive see and hear. So Nelly Negative is negative, she's not creative, and number 3, she's argumentative. She tells you why she should be negative, why she will carry on being negative, and why negativity has served her so far. Well, these 3 characteristics, being negative, being uncreative, and being argumentative, these make her noticed, but not noticed for promotion, which is what she wants. She does not get noticed for promotion, but she gets noticed for one who will not be considered for a more senior position. Because you see, in every organization, I keep telling you, they're looking for solutions, they're looking for answers. Every time an organization hits a brick wall, they need an answer. They need a solution. They did not hire you as the employee. They hired you as that person who will bring them answers to their questions and solutions to their problems. That you are the one who will come with a solution strategy, an answer strategy. You are the one who will take time and unpack these 3 things, and say to the senior leadership, you know what? we're going to make a way through this. We are going to find a way. That already is not negative thinking. We don't know how yet, but we're going to look at it. We're going to work at it. We're going to dig holes into it. We're going to spread it open. We're going to lay it flat out. We're going to do whatever we need to do to get the results we need to get to ensure that this organization stays at the top. I hope this has served you. I'm Coach Kemi, CEO and founder of How to Think Global Consulting Empire. If you would like to hear more about these live streams and you want me to let you know when they're coming up, just like reminder in the comments, and I will definitely remind you. Please like my business page, introduce your friends, invite your friends to like this page. We'll appreciate that too. Hey Kemi, yes, these 3 areas are killers. They definitely are. They definitely are, Dion. Thank you so much for joining me, Julia and Dion. God bless you. Bye-bye.